businessman, and I'd like to welcome on SheTalks Ashraf Abuissa.
Of course, my family's roots are coming from Palestine. She always plays the devil advocate, Every time I do something, she'll say, be careful. Yes, this might look good, but it can go that way. They're so smart, so efficient, so practical.
So here we are again on SheTalks with one of my most distinguished guests, entrepreneur, businessman, a person of many, many talents. Not only that, he's very well established here in Qatar, in Doha, and he's known for his businesses that stretch from retail to fashion to real estate. And I'd like to welcome on SheTalks Ashraf Abuissa.
Hello.
How are you, Ashraf?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much, first of all, for coming on to SheTalks. It's
Thank
an
you,
honor.
Jada. That's very nice of you. Thank you for a nice introduction.
Yeah. So first of all, Ashraf, I think, your name is a brand in Doha and especially in the Middle East. You've been on the Forbes list. You've been in many magazines. Alhamdulillah, you're very, very well established.
Mm-hmm.
But today on SheTalks, we want to know, Ashraf Abuissa, who are you? So tell us a little bit about yourself. For my friends who are not from Qatar or the Middle East, people around the world, who is Ashraf Abuissa?
Well, I'm basically a businessman that's interested in culture. I like to enjoy my business, and I like to add elements to my business that makes it much more enjoyable. And if I can include more people, more fun, whatever I can do, and to make it much more enjoyable, I like to do that. So that makes me not a typical businessman. It makes me more like I would say, business / culture / sports / many areas.
So let's start off with so first of all, tell us a little bit about your stuff, because you're not originally from Qatar, correct?
You can say I'm originally from Qatar because my family's been here almost 80 years.
80
Yeah,
years, okay.
yeah. My family came from Palestine
Okay.
originally, and I'm raised here. My family is here. I know only Qatar as a country as a home.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, my family's roots are coming from Palestine for sure.
Yeah.
And I still have a lot of work to do in Palestine. I do a lot of philanthropic work. Takes almost 25% of my time.
So
these days.
Abuissa Holdings is a business. So did it start off with your parents, your grandparents? How did it start?
The business started by my father only 5 years before he passed away. So when he passed away, I had to take over the business. I stopped college and came back and run the business along with my younger brother when he finished college after
So
that.
how old were you then?
I was 19 at that time. And my brother was 17.
And you were studying in Qatar or?
No, studying in the States.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm playing basketball.
So you're in America?
Yeah, so that stopped.
And the family business was in?
Was mostly wholesale with the showroom of the brands that we distributed. It was still very small. It was less than 100 people, maybe 50 to 70 people in that business. So it was relatively small, but big enough for me to stand on and from there to continue my career.
Okay, so the family business started off with retail. So you worked with different brands and you were distributing them.
Yeah, distribution, but with the retail arm that shows the brands that we distribute.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and with time I changed that. 10 years from the day I took over, I turned it to more retail than distribution, because retail in Qatar is easier to do. It's almost one city country, and easy to reach everyone. So what's the point of wholesaling and just to make sure also the brands that we represent has the right environment.
So at 19 years old, you'd come back from America. Sadly, your father's passed away. How was it for you? All of a sudden, at such a young age, having to take over a business. Did you have the experience, or did you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, I was always raised in a business family. So my father would come back during lunchtime or evening and talk about what happened that day. For me, that's enough to get me started. that knowledge and that experience and what I hear. So it was not a very strange environment for me. It was almost natural. For some reason, my father asked us to, me and my brother, to spend our summer vacations the 2 years before he passed away, as if he knew, to spend it in Qatar and to work in the business. So we spent 3 months every summer, the last 2 summers before he passed away, just focus 100% on the business during the summer holiday.
Yeah. So from 19, you just you
Yeah.
given up
Yeah.
your studies.
People ask me, was it difficult or not? I think it's the sense of responsibility makes it easy. It's not an option whether to succeed or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't succeed, it's like the whole family will suffer,
Yeah.
and there's no other option
Yeah.
but to succeed. So hard work, dedication, understanding the environment, talking to people like my uncle who lives in the UAE, and friends and family that can give me some wisdom, some experience that I can maybe use to. So I was trying to observe as much as I can from everybody around me and to learn from them.
So what things do you think were quite challenging at such a young age to take over a business and something that's established in a country like Qatar, which at that time probably wasn't established as what it is today in 2026? What sort of challenges do you think that you had to overcome?
The young age was an issue. People perceive you as a young person, doesn't matter how much work you do or if you're good or bad. That label of being a very young CEO,
Unexperienced, yeah.
yeah, it makes it very difficult to deal with people sometimes, because they don't take you seriously. Sometimes they don't. They try to impose terms or whatever, thinking that okay, let's test them, let's see if you can accept this or not accept it, or so. And especially dealing with some Japanese companies, for example. We were the agent of Fujifilm here in Qatar. So Fuji is a huge company with many activities, but all to do with photography. And in Japan, the seniority issue is very important.
Yeah.
No one would become a manager of any company unless he spends 20, 25 years in that company for sure. So to see somebody who's 19 going to Japan, speaking to a big firm like Fujifilm, and trying to negotiate, and to them it was a very strange situation. And actually they wanted to, as soon as my father passed away, they wanted to change and go with somebody else in Qatar. I asked for a grace period. I said, no, give me some time to at least, you signed with the company, you did not sign with a person.
Yeah.
So, at least give me a chance to prove myself. And they did. And then we became one of their best distributors. Started getting against other
Do you feel
companies.
you were quite confident though, at that age, looking back?
Yeah.
I mean,
when you go prepared, you do your homework, you dive into the business, you go very deep, you speak to everybody who's experienced in this, and you try to get as much knowledge as possible. It was not as easy today. Today, you can Google stuff. You can, with AI today, you can ask questions and you have immediately the simple answer. At that time, no, you have to really talk. You have to go to libraries. You have to understand business and even technically. Okay, in the photography business, like with the cameras, film, chemicals, X-rays, industrial X-rays, video tapes, microfilm, graphic arts for printing. So all these areas of the business, I had to become an expert almost in each one. So when I go there, I'm really confident, not only about the business side, but also the technical side.
But you as an individual, when I think sometimes when you're doing something yourself, you find that, and you being the eldest, sometimes everyone's looking up to you and you don't have that support. So as a young person at the age of 19, did you have good role models and people who were supportive towards you or made you believe in yourself? Because everyone's looking up to you. It's like,
Yes.
you're the eldest and like everyone's just turning to you. So who was there for you at that stage?
In business, it was my uncle, Abdurrahim. It's my uncle Muhammad. My father was Abdurrahim. And my uncle was really very supportive. Every time I call him, he's in a similar business, so I get a lot of wisdom from him and a lot of things I learn from him. But of course, the real support system was at home. You know, my family, my mother, my sisters, my brother, everybody was there, understanding the responsibility and really supportive in that way. And then the friends of the family, not necessarily business people, but they're old enough to give you a lot of leadership tips, a lot of wisdom, a lot of just do's and don'ts in general, you know, and in life.
Yeah.
And those can be implemented in business.
And that's very important to have that, isn't it?
Very much.
Very important for
Yes.
anyone who wants to do something or take something on. It's important to have that system in place so that you believe in yourself.
Of course. You're dealing with customers, you're dealing with colleagues in the business, you're dealing with suppliers, you're dealing with government, you're dealing with everyone. And each one of those categories require a different skill.
Were there times you were scared?
At the beginning, no,
No?
at all. It was just, it's like somebody threw you in a pool and you swam from day one, so you're fine. I would say, let's say 20 years after that, 25 years after that, maybe 2000 more actually, 2010. The company grew so much, it became almost 30 companies under the umbrella of Abuissa Holding. That's when I got scared.
Going from that, how was your vision about the growth? Because it takes a leader.
Yeah.
So your father's left the business there. You've come in at a very young age. You've established yourself. You found your feet. What was your vision? Where did you think you're going to take it?
Yeah. The vision for me was, I knew what I'm good at as a company and where I can really make a difference and where I can compete well. But also, don't forget, we lived in Qatar, and Qatar also progressed these years, you know. So starting from, let's say, 2006, when we had the Asian Games, okay, that's when Qatar took another direction completely, like a different way of looking at business, different way of looking at culture. The number of people in Qatar increased, doubled, or maybe over 2-3 years, you know. So we had to cope with that. You have to still service the market. You have to grow with it. You have to evolve. Living in Qatar, our leadership is never scared to try new things. Okay, and to them, yes, it's a small country, but the world is your market. You know, they invested everywhere. They hosted
The World Cup.
amazing events, and it was not to me. It was not such a difficult task. It's just that courage and that commitment is what makes it important. So even though if it seems possible, seems difficult, but it's possible. And that's the approach that it became a culture in the country. So that's the approach I took in my business too. It happened naturally. It's not like I thought about it a lot. But as I said, in 2010, that time, I felt that, okay, this is growing so fast.
And you panicked.
I panicked a little bit, yeah, because, you know, here in Qatar, as you know, Shayda, everybody that works with you, most of the people are people from abroad. They come, they fly, they bring their family, they come here, they get their working visa, and they work for you. So your responsibility is not only for that person who works for you, it's a whole family behind. So if anything happens, you know, you're not affecting one person that can go and find another job. It's him, his wife, his school kids. You have to change their life completely if you fail. So I decided to go and get real education.
Real education.
Yeah, because my education was a little bit messed up. I did not go to very good schools after my father passed away. My mother insisted for me to finish college, so I had to just finish it as quick as possible just to please her. But in 2010, I decided to go and get a real executive program, and be enrolled in an executive business program to understand and stay away a little bit from my business and try to look at it from the outside instead of being the inside.
How was that experience though, being detached from the business and that now you're the student?
Yeah,
Because it's a bit overwhelming from like a leader of a company.
Yes.
And an entrepreneur, and now you're the student, now you're having to listen.
exactly.
So how was that?
Exactly. It was an amazing experience. It's a life changer. Not only that you're re-looking at your practices, sometimes it confirms things that you're doing. You never had an academic frame for that, but they make it look like, okay, you've been doing this, yes, it's the right thing to do, but this is what it's called.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know. But most of the
So
time,
you went back to America?
yeah, I went to Harvard at that time. It was a nice program called OPM, Honors President Management Program. It really it changed my life. It was very nice and business-wise.
Was that for 2 years or 1 year?
No, it was over 3 years. You go every year for 3 weeks, but they send you, it's a case-based education in Harvard normally in business. So they send you the cases before, you have to prepare them and then go discuss them.
Would you say
very,
you were a good
very
student?
intensive.
Would you say you were a good student?
In most of the subjects, yes. Some things were a little bit boring for me, like finance, for example.
Yeah.
There's so much. At that age, I had already a very good CFO, very good team doing the accounting and the financial part. So that class was, I had to pay attention a lot, but it was a little bit boring for me. But
Yeah.
everything else
I
was,
think it's great. You said that your mom,
yeah,
you know, your mother. I mean, I've
Yeah.
met your mom, and she's such an amazing woman. And I think sometimes the pivot of the family is rotated around the mother.
of course.
And I think for your mom to have said that, you know, like to her grown son who's
Yeah.
already established in a business, it's not, you can say, it's okay,
Yeah.
we're established, you don't need to do it. Do you think your mom plays a huge role
Big
in
role,
your
Of
life?
course, I said that earlier. Definitely, her care, and also she always plays the devil advocate. You know, every time I do something, she'll say, "Oh, be careful. Yes, this
Yeah.
might look good, but it can go that way. It can go." So at the beginning, I used to be a little bit irritated with that because it showed some negativity. But later on, I saw that as more as like a defensive mechanism.
To
She
protect
just,
you.
yeah, she just want to make sure that it's protected. She just make sure that I thought of every aspect of whatever decision I'm making. And that, of course, with years, I'm like, oh my God, she's been doing this all the time. And maybe also it's natural as a mother. She want to
Yeah.
protect her children normally. Yeah, but yeah, she's amazing the way she kept us all together. You know,
Do you still seek advice from her?
yes, 100%. I see her almost every day. I tell her everything. You know, sometimes she confirms, sometimes she rolls her eyes. You know, here we go again.
And I think these blessings, especially in our Muslim culture, you know, from my Western friends who are listening, in our culture, this is a huge blessing for us.
Yes.
You know, the mother's prayers and the mother's blessings, and you know, it's unconditional love, right?
Yes. Sometimes if she disapproves of anything, like a decision I'm making or some, I stay behind it to just convince her. I make sure that she sees all the angles, she understands the vision behind it and everything. And sometimes she just says, no, you should not do it. Okay, it's up to you, but you should not do it.
So when you went to America, going back to, you know, when you first went, you mentioned basketball, and I know your sons
yeah,
are very much into basketball. So where did that start from?
just my height at that time. We don't have a lot of tall people in Qatar. My passion was football.
Yeah, so those of you who are listening, Ashraf's really tall. I always have to make sure I wear my heels when I take a photograph. How tall are you? 6'4"?
Yeah,
6'4".
yeah,
Yeah, he's very tall.
yeah. So and I liked Al Sadd Club very much. I wanted to play their football, but the club was close to our home. We are from Al Sadd area, but in that location they didn't have football. They had only basketball and volleyball and all the other games. The football field was a little bit far, so somebody saw me in a sports store. So what do you play? I said, I play football. I play for the school. And he said, why don't you try basketball for your height? And the club was next to our house. I said, yeah, let me try. And that's how it started.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't pursue it as a career now.
No.
No,
Even at that time, even though I played seriously in the clubs here but I don't want and no, I never looked at it as a career for me. No.
Yeah, but it's something that your sons do now, right?
Yeah, my sons but they play better than me for sure.
So you encourage them.
Yes, very much. I wanted them to do any sport. Of course, basketball was something I knew, and they're all tall, so that's fine. And the sports in general is so good for young kids. Gets them away from a lot of stuff. It shows them even socially, it's so important. And if they go to to schools, they see normally the same level of people. But when you go to clubs and you play against other teams and you travel with your team or national team, they all play for national team. So the exposure and the mixing with different kinds of people is so important for me, that they should learn that there's not only one type of class or they should mix with everyone
Absolutely.
and be able to deal with everyone.
And I think it's a really good sport as well, because it's something that's not established
Yeah.
as yet, especially in the Middle East. But so from 2010 going back, when you've had your little panic and you've been to Harvard and you've come back, so then where did you go? Because now you've become quite big. So
Yeah. We were doing fine. I mean, when I came back from Harvard, I closed maybe 10% of the companies, and I sold some others. Looking at it from an outsider, because sometimes when you're too much inside the business, you get so passionate and you get emotional about some businesses that you
get very attached.
Yeah, too attached. But when you look at it from the outside, because that's what they told us. They told us not to work in our business, but to work on our business. So you look at it from a bird's eye view. Then you decide, okay, this is maybe has a low barrier to entry. I should maybe sell that or close that company, or maybe there's just wasting too much time on this. My effort somewhere else, or our effort as a company somewhere else will gain more benefit. So yes, we looked at it differently after I came back, and it changed a lot of the dynamics in the business for me. And also I learned that I should also send some of my people, my colleagues, whether it's they are in accounting or in leadership roles or in management or operational. So some of them went to Harvard, some of them went to HEC here, some of them went to different schools that are, I saw the benefit of that, and I wanted everybody to also learn.
Yeah, which is something, extremely powerful, because if you invest in your employees and they're happy, it's something that you're going to get back, and
Yes.
your company is going to get back.
I'm a big believer in training in general.
What do you like as a boss?
As a boss?
So if I was working for you,
Yeah.
is it someone I'm saying, oh my God, boss is here, and you run for 10?
No, I don't think anybody okay, if they don't.
I mean, I know
if
you.
they don't know me.
I know you as a friend, and
Yeah.
I can sincerely say, whenever I've met you, to say that from the background you come from, being the person you are, you've been very humble and very down to earth.
Thank you.
So, but I don't know what you like as a boss.
Yeah, sometimes yes, when people don't know you, I have an open door policy, by the way, which makes it much easier for people to approach me, whether they work for me or they work and even in other companies, they have any complaints, suppliers, customers. Everybody can come in and talk. I sit most of the time in my cafe in Blue Salon.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a nice, by the way, that's a very nice cafe.
Yeah.
And it's very homely.
It is.
It's just like a chilling place.
It is a home.
In Blue Salon, and you just go, and I have a lot of meetings there myself.
I spend hours and hours there. So yes, the food has to be good.
Yeah, the food is very good. The biryani is very good.
And sometimes it's just overwhelmed with meetings, and you cannot block an hour for every meeting or 45 minutes. Sometimes you want to do it quicker. So the cafe is a nice way to do that. You can move from one table to another, and get my brother most of the time he's there, so he assists me with some things. Some people come late, early, whatever. It's not so rigid. It's not so official. Sometimes people know, when I go to the office and have a more private meeting, that's fine. We can do that too.
So there's a beautiful hadith about where the Prophet ﷺ says, the more you give, the more you're going to get. And I think you're a good role model in the way you've given, and the more you get, because I've seen it with your employees, with your family members, and it's not easy. The role that you've played, not just as a leader, but someone in the family, it's not easy to maintain, keep the family together. I mean, nowadays, it's very difficult, especially when parents pass away.
Yes. As I said, we were raised that way. So for me, it's only natural. It doesn't take effort.
Is that something you've embedded in your children?
I hope so.
Or would you say it's a new generation?
No. I actually, I like the new generation. I love them. Even at work, millennials and Gen Zs and now Generation Alpha also. Not bad. Harder to deal with for me because I'm not understanding them so well yet.
Yeah.
But I like Gen Zs a lot. I enjoy talking to them. They need a little bit more of social skills because they're more
Yeah.
attached to their devices, but they're so smart, so efficient, so practical.
And you go with the
Always
flow.
place.
You've got to go with the time, right?
Yes. I always try to surround myself with younger people. The younger, the better.
Keeps you healthy, right?
Keeps me healthy and keeps me also up to date with what's
Yeah.
happening. Yes.
I mean, and that's a smart move.
Yeah.
Is that something you learned in Harvard?
No.
No, but the other thing, what's really interesting is the fact that even though you've been in retail, you've been in lots of different businesses. Very recently, you established your nephew, Abuissa Holdings, established the polo in Qatar. Tell me a little bit about that, because that's not happened in the Middle East, has it?
Yeah. Now there's some polo in some countries. It's new to the region. Yeah, but no, it's not a Abuissa Holding. It's more of a personal. Me and my nephew, I asked my nephew to help me because again he's younger, much more efficient. He understands how the world works now and more in communication and in connecting with different federations around the world and everything. I've been assigned to start the polo club.
So you were asked to do it.
Yes.
It's not something you wanted to do, but you were asked.
No, I enjoy it so much, but I was asked to do it, and actually it was a nice thing to work on, and I was amazed with the people I meet in that world. The world
It's a
of polo.
different social circle, isn't it?
Yes, definitely different than basketball.
Yeah.
It's not an Olympic sport because it's too expensive to travel with so many horses, but the social part and the people that you meet in that ecosystem of polo.
And it's a
Very
very
nice.
traditional sport.
It is.
It's a very old, classic, traditional sport.
Yes, people don't realize how old it is.
Yeah.
It's been played in our region for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
and the British took it from India in the mid 19th century and made it.
Because in India and Pakistan, it's like very,
It's been there for
it's
many
very
years.
serious,
Yes.
because I've been to polo club.
Yeah.
And people are really
Yes.
serious polo players,
Yeah, especially Pakistan now.
especially Pakistan and the horses.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So that's something really exciting. So is that something that's going to carry on, or is it just going to be?
No, it's going to carry on for sure. And we see a lot of traction for polo in Qatar. We just had the sports day 2 days ago. And the people that were so interested in the sport that we actually had to create not only, we had one team until now. We don't have our field yet. We're working on it. But it made me much more excited about starting even without having our own field, just to use any grass field available in Qatar and to buy some horses.
Where do you think it'll be?
The first one is going to be in Al Mazroua area where they have the national service. That's actually just started work there, and thanks to the Minister of Defense, Sheikh Saud, he's really very supportive, and he suggested that we should have a polo field there, and he started working on it. So it'll be good so everybody who goes to national service will see polo. So that's for me a good marketing for the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's your business hat again.
And then we were promised another area, and now we don't know yet. Still working on the location to see where the permanent home for the Qatar Polo Club will be. But the kids, people who ride horses, who like horses, are so attracted to the game because it's very competitive.
Yeah.
Other games are also competitive.
People don't realize how competitive
it is.
Yeah.
it is, and
Yeah.
people who do polo and follow the sport are very serious.
Yes.
Really serious.
Yes. But at the same time, the players and the owners of the teams and people around them are very noble people in general.
Yeah.
Even if they lose, and there's no, they always hug, they always support each other, they keep communicating. In the field is different, but there's no sour taste left in the mouth after losing a game or something like that.
I think it's very exciting and very successful.
Exactly.
But you have interest in obviously retail, business,
Yeah.
sport, And now you also the founder of one of the first auction houses in the Middle East, Al Bahi Auction House. So how did that occur? Going from like retail to art.
Before that, it was a gallery.
Al Bahi was a gallery.
No, Bisan was a gallery. Bisan was opened in the late 90s, maybe 97, 98.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the very first art gallery in Qatar. And I opened it just because I realized after traveling and touring some cities in the world how much we need to educate ourselves about art. So instead of complaining, I said, why don't I just start a gallery and start giving classes to kids at an early stage?
But in art?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where was the first gallery?
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was in Salwa Road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the beginning of Salwa Road.
Okay.
It was called Bisan Gallery. A lot of people remember it. And we gave free classes to kids in the morning, and it was weekends especially.
And people came? Kids came?
It was always full. We had to, there's no space. And luckily, we started also with the start of the Virginia Commonwealth University here. So a lot of instructors that taught at the school, at the college, came and helped us with the gallery. And it was not for profit. I mean, we sold some art, but a lot of times we did exhibitions just to expose people to this kind of art, and it continued doing the business. Now I'm reactivating it now.
So from that, then you didn't have the gallery element of it, but you still had the framing business. Then you launched the auction house.
Yeah, not only framing, but also art services. People call us for their buildings, their banks, hospitals, hotels. They wanted our art services, our art consultancy, I would say. And it was continuing for a long time, but never had a home. But now with Art Basel coming to Qatar, reactivated it. I want to restart the activity again of Bisan.
Which is a art gallery within
Yeah, art
itself.
gallery.
But Al Bahi is an auction house.
Yeah,
Okay.
Al Bahi came after Bisan.
Yeah, but Al Bahi is the first Middle Eastern auction house.
Yes.
How did that start?
Actually, it was an idea of a friend of mine. He's very important now. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name.
I think we know the person.
Yeah. And I said, okay, let's do it together. And we did it. And now he's not in the business anymore, because I think also his position does not allow him to be in the business. So I continued the business. We continued as a group to engage in that business. We are committed, so you have to stay. It was good to Arabize a lot of terms. It was hard at the beginning, even to translate some of the terms in auctions, even though auctions existed in our region for many years. But the new terms that applies today, we had to make it in Arabic. And we wanted to encourage the secondary market of Arab art, because for some time the international auction houses did not activate that part. They activated at the beginning, and then now they for some time they stayed away from it. Now they come back again, but for that period we wanted to fill that gap, and also to help local artists, because we have 2 auctions a year for young artists, up and coming artists in the Arab world.
I feel really privileged because I know I've auctioned with you before.
Yes.
I must come in the young category still. I think, from an international perspective, to have an international auction house based in the Middle East is quite significant and important. And I think it shifts history.
That's true.
And I think it's, you can't compare with Sotheby's and Christie's. These are people that have been established. And I think there's always a foundation, and there's always part of a journey where it will go on. And I think some of the stuff that you've had, it's been exciting. Some of the things that and it relates not only to the Arab world, but also people out there who are collectors of, for example, the handbag one that you did.
It's so important. It's so important. Today, I mean, I don't know. You've been to the last auction we had, the modern Arab.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 artists had their first record ever in an auction, and they were really good. One Saudi, one Palestinian. Okay, they never sold in an auction before, and once you sell in an auction, your sale becomes recorded by the likes of Art Price and these the platforms. So it's so important that you put your name on the map, okay, and to have some somewhere to start. You know?
But it's also important that you've given people opportunity.
Yes.
Because not only, like, for example, Art Basel recently, we've just had in Qatar last week.
Yeah.
Only 83 galleries can be there. And this time it's only 83 artists because each gallery only could represent one artist.
Yes.
So the thing is, there's like so many artists out there in the real world.
Yes.
Not everybody's going to have that opportunity to be in Art Basel.
Exactly.
So I think you're opening doors. And I think from the work that I've seen, I think you've given opportunity to a lot of artists. And I think that's commendable.
It is important, yes. And it's part of our mission, of course. And we also give a lot of classes about different collectibles, not only art, but sometimes carpets, sometimes antiques, which is all under the umbrella of art and creativity
as well.
Yeah, and prayer beads,
Amber?
the amber, yeah, kahraman in Arabic.
I love the bag one.
Yes, yeah, that's seasonal. Sometimes it's a high market, sometimes a low market, but it's an opportunistic approach to that those luxury brands. But the rest of it is actually a mission, to make people understand the different skills of people who make carpets and who build these antique pieces, and how hard it was, and how skilled they were, and some of them don't do it anymore, like the Persian carpet business is the people who are in that business, they were in millions.
Yeah.
Now maybe less than hundreds, I don't know, maybe tens of thousands are only working in that area.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because of the machines that came and replaced a lot of the human skills, but we still can tell if a carpet is handmade or it's a machine made, and we want to keep educating people about this. It's beautiful, these experiences, and we hold classes for that every once in a while. Bring different experts to speak about different industries, and educate people about what they're collecting and what they're gonna have at their home, because it's important. It enhances the creativity.
Yeah. Being in Doha, being in Qatar, one of the richest countries in the world, for you as an entrepreneur, successful businessman, would you say that it was a lot more easier for you to establish and grow in this country that was also growing? Or would you say that there was a lot of challenges as well that came of being in this country?
No, the country is normally a great platform to start a business and to grow a business, and it's very fair. The court system here is very fair. Unlike some countries where, for example, corruption is there, and there's industry mafias here we don't have all this. It's a very, I would say, fair playground for everyone to perform. The only challenge we have is the market size. The market size is very small, especially for me. I work a lot in the consumer items, and there's a limitation. So it's good that we are actually improving our and I want here to thank Visit Qatar and the Tourism Authority for bringing a lot of high quality tourists into the country. They're doing a lot of events, a lot of effort. We follow them every day and to see what kind of efforts they're trying to.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
things like FIFA, because you were one of the, they had like a FIFA could only give the contract to certain people, and you were one of the contract holders, correct?
Yes, for the souvenirs and
So
everything.
that helps, doesn't it?
It helps, but also in that we made sure everything is designed by local people.
Yeah.
So we had scarves, we had every item, and we made local competitions for people who live in Qatar, who has residence here, to come and compete. And we gave awards to people who won, and it's also for them. It's good to feel like they're part of this FIFA.
Yeah.
So it was very inclusive idea, and also not only the World Cup, but to see today. I mean, just announced figures now that in 2025 we had over 5 million people, tourists came to Qatar.
Which is a lot for Qatar.
Yes, a huge number.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we can see that in our retail stores, little by little. It's improving.
So I was listening to one of your interviews where you talked about how when COVID happened, you established an online market.
Yeah.
And you didn't let the business dip.
Yes.
Was it a tough time, or
Yeah.
or did you have to quickly?
Of course, it was a tough time. COVID was very tough. But before that, knowing that e-commerce is going to take over or take a big chunk of the retail business. We have established a business in America and States, in New York City specifically, and we engaged in e-commerce there in America. And I thought maybe this is one of the best places where you can compete in that business, to understand how e-commerce works exactly, and also the latest in that field. So we started in America in 2014-15 with a store and a strong e-commerce platform. Unluckily, it was a travel business, which was hit badly with COVID. It was mostly luggage and luggage accessories and everything for travelers. It's a travel lifestyle concept called Musafir, and I insisted on having an Arabic name on that store, even in New York. My idea was, coming from basketball, if you play in an NBA in America, even if you're the 30th team, the last team in the league, when you come to any other place, you can always win and compete for the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is actually the mecca of retail, as they call it, New York. So if you're strong there and you can compete there, then you can make it. You can make it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when COVID hit, we were ready with our e-commerce. We were the team. Actually, my team that took over the e-commerce business in Qatar. They were the same team that I took with me to New York to train them there, and to deal with all the developers and to the fulfillment agencies and businesses. So they understood the business very well. So when
Why luggage?
sorry,
Why luggage?
as I thought it was an area, a lot of people address the hikers, the outdoor living with the hiking gear and the shoes and the little compartments and their bags and the backpacks. You can live off your backpack and everything, but nobody has addressed seriously the urban traveler and the business traveler. We get neglected somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I should just do more than luggage. We worked with Samsonite, which is one of the best companies that we ever worked with. They're a very nice, very friendly company from day one until now. They're very supportive, and we learn a lot from that industry. Being with them for now over 40 years, we understand the luggage business, but travel is much more than that. We're not selling luggage. We're selling a travel experience. With all the gadgets and little compartments and organizers and items to keep you safe and to keep your items safe. Organizing your travel in a different way that makes it much more fun and
Believe it or not, I've got one of my favorite suitcases from you that travels everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
It's like a little hard, old-fashioned, the ones that they had hard.
Yes,
like
yes.
this. And I love it because the amount of stuff I can fill in that.
Yeah.
I have this thing that if you lose your suitcase,
Yes.
you need to have everything in the other one. And I use it. That's my travel one. And I absolutely love it. And I'm surprised myself at how much I can put in it because of the compartments and everything. And it's so practical.
That's true.
So I totally get it because I'm a frequent traveler.
And if you're a frequent traveler, you build this emotional relationship with your suitcase.
Oh, yes.
It stays in your same room. It's always with you everywhere you see.
Yeah.
And then when you want to throw it away, you're like, okay, maybe it's old now. It's been beat up so badly, but you don't want to let go of it.
No, you don't.
With all the stickers and all the memories that comes with it. But no, we encourage you to change it because we want to sell more.
No, it's my favorite one. I'll have to send you a photograph, but I love it.
Yeah.
My kids have tried to steal it off me, but I love it. And it's just so solid because I've found that with traveling, no matter, sometimes you'll get a designer suitcase or whatever, but they don't last and they rip. So you always need something that's
Durable.
sustainable
Exactly.
and durable.
Yes.
And you can relate to that as
Yep,
well.
100%.
And I don't think people think of it in a practical way.
Yeah.
So that's your journey with that. But just coming back to you as a child, what was life like growing up? Being in Qatar, your family's moved from, the Palestine, come from Palestine, you settled here. What was childhood like in Qatar in those days when you were growing up? What was it like at home?
Home for me was always, of course, family ties in Qatar in general is very, very strong. So whether it's a small family or the extended family. But for me, it's since I was maybe 13, 14, I was very much into sports. And because of my height, I played for more than one age category in the team. So sometimes I played for three age categories at the same
There was
time.
something your father encouraged, your mother.
Yeah. My father encouraged a lot.
So when you were younger,
sports.
you went to schools. Did you go to local schools?
Yeah,
Or did you go
yeah.
to
Local
local?
government schools. Yes.
You went to government schools.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that was a good thing. It's a good question because we didn't have many of the foreign schools, but the local schools that are run by Ministry of Education were also very good education. They have very good
In
teachers,
Arabic, all in Arabic.
all in Arabic. Yes, and of course we had English lessons as part of the curriculum, but not we didn't they didn't other than English class didn't teach anything else in English. It was nice to build contacts from them, the people that you knew from childhood and from school at this age. Nothing beats that relationship, It's
And the population wasn't that big.
yeah,
Ain't got that.
exactly. You knew everyone between sports and school and business, and you get to know everyone.
So was it quite a nice, close-knit social hub
Yes,
growing up for
yes,
you?
and a very good mix.
And because you were a
Yes.
business family.
Yeah, no, but also no. It was a very good mix in schools. We had a lot of nationalities, and
Interesting.
it was a representation of the population of Qatar. So the percentages even almost matched to the dot.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, except the non-Arabic speaking population. It was not there, but you had people from Egypt, Lebanon, Palestine, Tunisia, Morocco, everywhere. Every nationality was there. So it's good to be exposed to those nationalities at the early stage to understand the way of thinking, to understand even their accent in Arabic, and their habits. Sometimes you go to their homes. I had a friend from Armenia. I used to go to his house. He had no option but to go to school. Yeah, and going to his house to see how they eat, how they behave. It was
But your
very nice.
family was okay with you
Yes,
interacting?
yes.
even-
It's a very safe
Because
environment.
I think the foundation of, like the reason I asked this question, because it's really interesting to know how your foundation started and did you have opportunity at an early age? Because obviously when you were young, you've seen an established business in the family.
Yeah,
So you've been raised in a business family.
exactly.
So that opportunity, that foundation was there for you.
Yeah, 100%. It helps a lot.
And
Uh,
then you carry that on with your children. So
Yes.
I think it's interesting. So when your grandparents came to Qatar, so they were already in business? Is that
It
something
was
that was
it was actually my uncle, not my grandparents, but my older uncle, Abdul Salam. He started business early in the 50s. My father worked for him for some time, and then my father moved to Shell Oil. He got educated. My father got educated in American University in Cairo. Late 50s, early 60s. That's when he graduated. And then when he came back here, he joined Shell company, the Shell Oil company. They were commissioned to extract oil.
right. Okay.
Here.
So you were not born here though, just were you?
Yeah, my father was stationed in Singapore. Yeah, for Shell, and I was born in Singapore. They were there only. My parents were there only for 2 years, but I was born in Singapore because of that.
And back in those days, even your father going to university and graduate is quite a big thing then, isn't it?
Yes.
It wasn't the norm.
No,
You know.
especially the American University in Cairo or Beirut.
Yeah.
They were amazing. They were like they stood
Because
out.
again, that opportunity in those
Yeah.
days, in the era of your father, it wasn't there for everyone.
No. But them, working with my uncle in his business, and my uncle also supported that, and he went back. After he finished in college, he went back and worked for my uncle for some time.
Yeah.
And then joined Shell after that. And he enjoyed Shell actually a lot. He was an economist. He was more an economist than a businessman, and he enjoyed that so much.
So
But-
how old were you when you moved from Singapore? When
No,
you were
just a
born-
year old.
just
Yeah,
born there,
yeah.
came over.
Yeah, and then my father, his thought was, I cannot give my children an employment contract. I cannot pass down an employment contract with them. I can only pass down a business to them. That's the reason he left Shell and started his own business, thinking about us growing
So you
up.
already
Yeah,
had that vision.
yeah, he had that vision for sure. Yeah, he was very happy, inshallah. I think that was his dream job in a way.
Yeah.
He was a senior there and very happy. But he said, okay, what do I make? What I'm gonna pass down to my kids after that?
Yeah. So he's quite a visionary.
Yeah,
You
very much.
From what you're telling us,
Yes,
the vision was there, and that foundation was there for you to establish and that family environment, whether it was your uncle, makes a huge impact.
yes, 100%. Yes.
And so where do you see yourself going now with the Abuissa Holdings? What's something new that you've not tried that you would love that? Like, I know you've done chocolate, you've done coffee, you've got your fingers in a lot of pies.
Yeah, in terms of industries, I think I don't have anything that I wish to do.
Not a
No,
film,
nothing.
not a Netflix series.
No, I like the.
You don't want to do Qatar Bling.
I think for no, please no. For me, I think the two areas which are going to be futuristic for us is entertainment. I think with AI, we're going to have more time
Yeah.
for ourselves. AI, for me, I call it IA, intelligent assistance. It's not actually artificial intelligence. So it's going to assist us to be more intelligent, and it's going to make it much faster for us to process normal stuff. I think the human emotions will never be replaced.
Yeah.
Whether it's in art or in communication or in anything we do in life, the emotion and the human emotion is not going to be replaced by machines. That's for sure. I used to say that about creativity, but now the machines are very creative.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah,
That's
but that
shocking.
emotional part with creativity is not gonna be matched. So for me, it's just more time, and more time means more well-being, more taking care of yourself. Now with more technology, the health sector is gonna actually take another direction. It's gonna be much better and much easier for us to detect what's happening in our bodies, how we react to different food, weather,
That
movement,
Yeah, absolutely.
sleep, all this. And we're becoming more and more aware of, if you think about today and you think about 30 years ago, we're much more aware of everything around us and how it affects our well-being. So that's a big opportunity in business, in my opinion.
So just Ashraf, say you as a human being, forget Ashraf Abuissa, it's just like you as a human being. What's the best part of your day? For you, not business, not dad, not husband.
Yeah.
What is your, what is, you as a person, as a human being? Because people see you, like as the father, as, in all these different roles. I think sometimes in your position, people don't see you. So
Yeah.
what is it? What is it that, your ideal, your time? What is it?
Yeah. In general, it's the human moments, the very intimate moments you spend with your loved ones, whether they're family or with your close friends. And sometimes, when you, for example, now I see a lot of people from Gaza here, and thanks to our government for accommodating them and treating them. And sometimes I go and spend time with those people just to see if they need anything or something. Those moments for me are very, very touching and very memorable, because you're talking to human, and they're telling you what they feel and how they feel. And it's not always sad, by the way. Sometimes they're joyful, sometimes because of their strong beliefs in God, and they survive, and you learn a lot from that. So these human moments for me are the most important part of the day, and I try to with age I learned that what really matters at the end is those, everything else. If you buy a new car, you buy a new watch, you buy, the joy is very limited, and it's only few hours, sometimes few days, whatever, you get enjoy it. But what lasts is that human touch that you have with people that love you and people that you love, So
Well, I think because of your experience and what you've been through, it does make a difference.
100%.
Losing someone like your father,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
pride, nobody can overtake that. But I think it's that legacy you leave behind. And I think it's as you get older as well. And I think it comes with age. That is so important. And for you, everything that's going on politically, it must be so close to heart. I mean, I didn't want to bring it up in my podcast because I know, and I can relate to it,
Yes.
and I think it must be so painstaking. It's like the other day someone was saying to me, like you said to me, that I was home. This is all I've known. Like when someone asks me the question, like, where are you from? And I'll say England. Where are your parents from? England. Where are your grandparents from? England.
Yeah.
But basically, they try and say where your roots are from.
Yes.
And then I always say there is actually no root
Yes.
because we've just been migrating
Yes. Yeah.
and we're still migrating.
Yeah.
So that identity thing, I think if we start looking at people for just being human beings, not their color, not the race, nothing like that matters really. It's about humanity. And I think in today's world, humanity is extremely important. And I know you do a lot of charitable work through your organizations and you've done it through the auction house as well. But it must be something that deep down in your heart, it really touches you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something extra that I'm doing. It's actually a duty in a way. We are so blessed in this country. We don't pay taxes. There's no pressure in any way to do. But if you feel that you're blessed, I think there's a way that you should give back.
Yes.
Yeah. This society made you what you are today. This country, this government, this leadership, everyone is contributed to the blessing that you are in now. So it's only a duty to give back.
Is there any moments that you remember when you've had like real hardship? When is there any like time that you've really had a struggle or a hardship and it's been overcome or something's happened and you're thinking, wow, I never thought that would happen.
Yes, the blockade was very bad for us. The
blockade.
blockade on Qatar. Because at that time we were just starting a business in Saudi Arabia and UAE and the surrounding countries. And the average age of our stores when the blockade happened was about 2.5 years. So those stores are mostly luxury stores, okay? And we had to open them quickly because in places like Saudi Arabia or markets like Saudi Arabia, you cannot just start with 1 or 2 stores. You have to cover all the geographical locations, all the cities. And to please the brands that you represent, you have to be quick in what you're doing. And we spend a lot of time and effort on those new markets because they're new. The new babies, I can say. In terms of
How many stores are we talking?
we have 80 stores, 15 in Saudi and 30 in UAE and few in Bahrain. Unfortunately, we had to close all of them in one day, almost.
Just overnight.
Yeah. So 2.5 years average age. You paid key money. You paid fit out cost. You paid
And
salaries
people.
and rents and inventory and all this, and then suddenly this happens. And I never liked politics. I never read politics. I never watch. It's enough when I sit in majlis with people. It's enough for me to get to know what's happening. But I never spend time on that because I know I can't control politics, so I stay away from it.
It's
good, normally
good choice.
Yes, and for me to read something that can help me in as a person or my well-being or my business or whatever, I like to spend time doing that. But
just like that.
Yeah.
In Ramadan, I remember.
Telling people, no matter how much I read about politics, how much I educated myself, I would never had guessed that. The way it happened also,
It's sudden.
Yeah, sudden, and then it's a complete blockade. Okay, and that was a big loss for us in terms of business. And we're still suffering from that loss, thanks God, here banks and the government understood our position. That's not really our fault, and it's a political issue. So they separated those losses as a loan in a bank that we have to one day pay back. Okay, but our regular business kept going. But still, this is an issue,
Wow.
Yeah.
And 80 stores.
Yes, 80 stores, and it was a big loss. So, and we are like, we didn't inherit a big business or wealth. We just built the company brick by brick, So something like like this.
So your way of dealing with it, because obviously that was instant. You didn't know it was coming. You didn't prepare. How do you deal with it?
Again, because I have no control over it, I don't feel upset about myself
So you
or
don't
anybody.
get stressed?
No, I don't stress. But what stresses me is that how I'm going to pay this back, that loan, that I took to open these stores, with all this interest and, accumulated interest. So that was probably the hardest time ever. Still going through it now. Okay, but I don't stress myself. I don't blame myself. Don't blame anybody. It's just sometimes something out of your hands happen. People have also natural disasters in some other places. You cannot blame anybody for that. So you just have to know how to deal with it, or try to deal with it, and not to collapse, not to give up, not to And
How did you hold the fort together?
we worked hard with the banks to reorganize our finances in a way that it will not affect our regular business, day-to-day business. We convinced the bank, if this stops, we will never be able to pay you back. And in the same time, let's protect that. But to get to that deal with the banks, I had to sell a couple of my companies to be able to generate cash to keep me going until we settle with the banks, make sure we have an arrangement that's comfortable. So that was really hard. In some businesses I sold, I didn't want to sell, but there's only...
So some of these decisions that you make within the company as a CEO, do you go with your gut feeling, or obviously you've got a team of advisors and everything?
Yeah.
Is the final say yours, even though other people might say,
it is 100%.
don't do this, don't do that?
100%. But when you get your priorities right, it's easy to make decisions. If the well-being of people who work with you is your priority, it's not money, it's not building wealth, it's not all this, then your decision is easier. I'll sacrifice anything just for the well-being of the people that work with me.
Yeah.
Even when I sell my companies, I make sure that whoever buys them keeps my team, or at least the senior people on my team, for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Not to touch them. They have to stay with.
And that's a hard position to be in sometimes, because you can't. Although you want to, sometimes you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
It's not easy for anyone.
Yeah, it's true. But it's as I said again, if you know your priorities, it's easy. Then you know what the track that you want to run. If your priority is only money and building wealth, it's also easy to make that decision.
Yeah.
You just say, forget everything else. I'm gonna sell this. I'm gonna just build that, and then I don't care. People can find other jobs. You can say that too.
So what legacy do you see yourself leaving behind? If I was to say, in the future, in 50, 60...
Actually, my legacy are in the families that our business supported. These people worked in the business.
The story, their stories.
Yeah, their stories. When somebody comes to me and they say, my kids just graduated from college. My daughter is a doctor. My son is a lawyer. He's an inventor. He's a scientist. These stories make me really happy. Okay, the driver that used to take us to school every morning, okay, his son also worked for our company, and he won an international award for cybersecurity. He was invited by one of the big companies to go to the States and receive his award there. A lot of the people work for our company now. The kids are everywhere in the world and very successful.
But that's a good vision of a leader.
To me, that's legacy, really.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because we're on a podcast and there's a camera here. But really, if you think about your mission in life, okay, yes, you want to live a comfortable life. You want to make sure your kids are also taken care of, and they also learn how to face life, and they're not just inheritance of any wealth or anything like that. They want them to know their own.
As well, Ashraf, you're a good leader, because I always think that a good leader invests in the people.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I did my first expat contract abroad, and I had a really close friend of mine, and again, similar to yours, her driver's son became one of the managers of one of her companies. And when she told me the story, she said, you have to invest in these people because they will work really hard and with loyalty for you. And even the gardener, she invested in their children. And it was amazing, how that model will work. And only a good leader can see that, because a good leader will take people from down there to their level.
Yes.
And other leaders will not think about the people at grassroots. And it's these grassroots people that actually are the people that, are the people that have made us.
100%. And then, this is what else you need, what legacy you want for. And other than that, I mean, if you see people around you flourish, and not because of you, but because of they're part of your ecosystem in a way, they also build the company. Some of them work harder than me.
Yeah.
But they flourish, they grow, and they're happy, they're smiling, even at the older age. They say, okay, what else I need from life? I've achieved everything I wanted. So that's for me beautiful. That's what
Yeah,
makes
that's a
that's
really
what keeps me
beautiful
going
thought.
on. Yeah.
It's a great legacy to leave behind.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself retiring?
No.
No?
No.
So retirement's
No.
definitely not in the
God
cards.
help the people around me. I'm not gonna.
So you don't see yourself retiring?
I'm gonna be always a pain for it.
So, okay, Ashraf, it's been so wonderful to see you,
Thank
hear you on the
Thank
podcast. And I hope, it's always good to know people for really who they are.
Yeah.
And, because people see this persona, this image, this facade of someone. And I think sometimes you don't really know the story behind that person.
Yeah.
So I hope, to people out there, we've been able to share that, and to share the inspiration and your journey, especially of where you are, what you are, and how you become what you are. Because I think these things are really, really important.
Thank
And we were excited with the polo and maybe other
Yeah.
things that you want to do in the future.
Yes.
With that business head, I'm always wondering what's he up to next. So for those of you who've been listening, I'm so pleased that we've had Mr. Ashraf Abuissa on my podcast. It's been such a great honor, and I'm really humbled and touched. And I hope you enjoy the show. And for those of you who want to know more about Ashraf, it's Ashraf Abuissa Holdings, and based out here in Qatar. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Ashraf.
Thank you, Zayda. I didn't. I expected to talk more about art and stuff, but you said no preparation, so you didn't even tell me what we're gonna talk about.
I think
But it's really nice. I mean, I like this dialogue. I felt very comfortable. Many times I forgot there's a microphone here, which is
I think it's the reason I did the podcast as well is because I meet so many interesting people, and a lot of my friends ask me so many things, not just internationally. I thought SheTalks was really a podcast just to share stories and tell people and empower people. Just like you talked about the legacy, your story, and I think that's what it's about. Like you said, it's that human touch.
yes.
And I think the real story has to come from you. So
Thank
for me, the script doesn't work.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
You've been on the show. Thank you.